Hello, my name is Tshidi Madia. I'm from Team Eyewitness News. We are in the middle of election season. In fact, I want to argue that political parties are now cranking up their different election machineries and are hitting the ground. I've been watching different political parties starting to gather their volunteers, their supporters. But of course, I'm also watching the manifesto offerings. If you are elected into power, voted into our office, what do you have to offer? A lot of political parties going out and about saying to voters, this is who I am and this is what's possible if you trust me, and you put an X next to our party. So this week, Bosa, Build One South Africa with the face of one Mmusi, Maimane, launched their manifesto. Yes, this booklet, first let me tell you about this booklet. It's a lot like Rising Suns, isn't it? And when you think about the leadership, it's also kind of put together in a similar manner. In fact, if you close your eyes, you might think that Songezo sounds a little bit like Mmusi Maimane, one slightly more polished than the other, but that's neither here nor there. My takeaways from this particular manifesto, it is called the jobs plan first and foremost. So you can't ignore the fact that central to Bosa's offer to South Africans is the issue of jobs. They want to make it viable for people to, one, get jobs, those who are able to qualify for jobs, to get better jobs. So ultimately what they want to do is to create job opportunities, to grow the economy, to reform education. Yes, his hatred for life orientation also finds its way into this manifesto. They want to build a capable state, and they also want to create a safe environment for people to work. So everything, hence it's called the jobs plan, everything in this booklet is about getting you to jobs, dignified jobs for South Africans. The ultimate argument in this booklet, of course, like many other opposition parties, is that the country is at a crossroad, that if you don't pick me, you're doomed. The trajectory is negative. I think the only party, and I suspect, and I think correctly so, that will defend South Africa as it stands is obviously the ANC. They are the incumbent. They're the ones seeking a renewed mandate. But interestingly enough, Mmusi Maimane firmly believes that not only has the dream of 1994, that democratic breakthrough period, been deferred, but that Bosa, I'm not sure which way you want to call it, but Build One South Africa is the only way to take that dream forward. I'm not convinced about that per se. Yes, they speak about public-private partnerships, working with NGOs, lots of views about policing. Of course, you must expect to hear their take on corruption, on the infrastructure. But all these things, if you think about it, are things that either inhibit or will enable job creation. Ultimately, the vision here is to make sure that they put a job in every home. They've calculated what is possible, and that's kind of what they're selling us. I think read it. It's a blueprint, they say. So I want to put this down for a second. I want to focus a little bit on leadership, because in this case, Bosa doesn't necessarily have a newcomer in the political scene at the helm. It's got Mmusi Maimane. Mmusi Maimane, who we knew as a leader of the DA. In fact, the last general elections, he was the federal leader of the DA, where they did quite badly, and we then saw him exit the party. So my greatest struggle is believability, if you may, because a messenger in politics or anything really has to be believable, right? The message that they carry, you must want to believe. Politics is about optics and what you choose to believe in the many, many promises that you hear from different leaders. And I'm not sure if I'm convinced by Mmusi Maimane. I also want to speak about Gaza, where he can't seem to recognize the issue of what's happening in the Middle East as a genocide, or even have a more nuanced response when he's asked questions about it. That for me leaves many question marks about what the leader stands for and who he is and what he's about. I'm not sure, beyond wanting Angie out of office, what else does Mmusi Maimane want? I'm not sure if he's been able to reinvent himself in the way one would have wanted him to when he turned his back from the day. Yeah, the Zotital is alive and Autinyana are going on, but I don't know if that's sufficient, right, in the delivery of his messaging. But I also don't know if he needed to be too drastic on the other side, because to some degree you want to be able to identify some of the things that you understood to be what Mmusi Maimane was. So I'm trying to make sense of who he is, and I'm struggling in essence. And I think I couldn't be the only one who's watching Bosa and asking themselves questions about Mmusi Maimane. A colleague of mine, Clement Manyatela, questioned where Mmusi Maimane would be 10 years from now. And I think that's a legitimate question, because here's somebody who you are seeing literally losing ground and popularity as the years go by, no question he remains more popular than the DA's current federal leader, John Steenhuisen. It's just that Bosa is smaller, so you can't make a thorough comparison. But in terms of individuals, absolutely. But I think Mmusi is playing a role in his demise, and he continues to do so. The lack of clarity about who or what he is as a political leader will work against him. I have no question about that. And I also don't know where his future lies. I questioned why, when he left the DA, many others didn't follow him. We saw many prominent leaders of the DA either going Action SA or maybe going to Rise Mzansi. What is it about this leadership that fails to capture the imagination of those that he led? They should be up in the ranks there with him at Bosa. But if you look at it, I think you can barely count 10 people who followed Mmusi Maimane and thought, here's a politician who inspires something in me, whose vision speaks to what is possible. So I think that issue will be part of Bosa's challenge as it sells its message to people. Of course, people agree about jobs. We want jobs. You want the economy to grow. But are you the right person to be elected into higher office to see that through? I think there he's found wanting. There he struggles from believability.